Irreversible effects emerge in infinite density. Gravity reversal stands. Same equation in reverse. White hole expansion, what that's about. From point to line to plane to sphere. Dimensions start to expand. Opposite effect of contraction into a singularity. Black hole inside out. Fine structure steadfast alpha is a fundamental physical constant. In an elementary charged particle with the electromagnetic field reaction. In elementary charged particles it denotes strength and coupling dominance. It quantifies the strength of an electromagnetic interaction. Self-consistent electromagnetic constant is then a full set of definitions of the fundamental dimensions resulting in Maxwell's equation. Arnold Sommerfeld quantified strengths of the electromagnetic interactions denoted between elementary charged particles strength innovation. Constant alpha dimension 1. Number equal 137th. It is the coupling constant. Measures the electromagnetic force begun. Governing electrically charged particles interacting within the heavens. Connecting the magnetic fields where beforehand there were none. Elementary charge is the electrical excite carried by a single electron. Charge held in any object is found to be integral multiples of it at large. Equivalent but opposite in polarity to a positively charged proton. By convention, those electrons have a negative or minus charge.
Twittering know-it-all who crawled from a nest with a high-pitched burp. Your mom fed you so you're ready to become a brand new physicist. Fell out of a tree. Think you know physics but you are not real chirp. Well you twit. That does not make you a scientist. More of a chirpicist. This is it. From a primal egg we chirped the universe in simulation. Actually it was done on a computer. Feeling as anything's possible. It's an image on a flat panel display. No less than imagination. But given all the ingredients and conditions, equations may make this probable. Ready, set, go. Here is what we need to know to make our model. Linear space of a set of element points and set of elements called lines. An empirical gravitational constant involved in the calculation you call density, cosmological constant resulting force between charge defines. So there you have your own universe. All must leave what don't believe. Each of us has their own self-centered view of it. At any rate it is true. Holographic models are really something though. If only to perceive. Building one may be hard or simple fractals you've been through. Yes, we all need our own space. A universe to yourself seems lonely. Wander through it endlessly looking for a companion only finding none. You wouldn't want to go there being mortal. Alone ain't no fun, only. You'd live your life without time to cross it. Go back where it begun.
Hydrogen is the chemical element with an atomic number 1 denote. Our lightest element. The guess of diatomic molecules shall now begin. Ions have a positive or negative net charge. A proton and electron don't. Bound together by a weak nuclear force it forms a character hydrogen. Hydrogen atoms with one proton, electron and neutron are deuterium. Protons fusing in strong nuclear forces give off a positron and neutrino. The charge is positive. It's now an ion with positive charge sum. Until it picks up an electron. Cancelling out the positive it'll then go. Tritium, 2 neutrons and a proton nucleus. Fusing deuterium to helium. Shedding 1 neutron. 2 electrons in 1 orbital. Atomic number 4. Positively charged ions till they pick up a negative electron pair from free-flowing electrons as current source. Rising charge for more. Taking electrical properties of material into account as we were. Differences between these are classifications in degree of resistivity, distinguishing 3 categories: a conductor, semiconductor, or insulator. Insulators don't allow electricity passing through them as they be. Superconductivity, a set of physical properties observed in material. Electrical resistance vanishes. Magnetic flux fields are expelled. Any material exhibiting these properties is a superconductor. Vestigial state of matter with no electrical resistance. Magnetic fields repelled.
Powers which are non-negative integers. Polynomial equation troubles. In particular, this is a mind-bending, second-degree, polynomial game. Quadratics use when two things are multiplied having same variables. Working with area, both dimensions then written in terms of the same. Don't worry, Tom will scratch your eyes out on both sides so you can't see. Easier than solving a formula. He was always a scrappy devil anyway. Has nothing to do with the speed of light, only claws, so don't breath. No, he's not a dog. Rolls over but doesn't know to speak or stay. It was thought cats do not do math, but equated to friskies, Tom does. You see they were missing from his bowl. So he figured what is left. The answer most likely, -1, kitty snack. Least it was. When tomcats do not get fed matters get ugly. Added the dog's food and theft. Is it equal to say 10 to -20 times the diameter of a proton? Not near 3 meters, divided by numbers like speed of light squared. Solving the famous equation for distance, the Planck length it's on. Such an incredibly small unit of measurement. Precisely if one dared. Planck scale then seems smaller than any wavelength in the universe. So the theory combining relativity and quantum mechanics is needed. Describing the laws of physics, scientists can't seem to run it in reverse, though they understand some properties. It has not been completed.
Planck length, a meter's magnitude times 10 to -35. Hitting a proton having 20 orders of magnitude to go so cared. Proton width is 0.8 times 10 to the -15 meters size. Proton divided by 1 with 20 zeros is Planck length. No zero spared. Planck units do not incorporate electromagnetic dimensions upon. Scales refer to quantities of space-time energy and other units by 1.62 times 10 to the -35 meters. Close spot on. Planck scale standard quantum theory or general relativity don't apply. So all orders of magnitude down from the visible universe to a nucleon. They are less than from a subatomic particle to 1 Planck length. Envision how all that is detectable was scaled to that size early on. Of a single proton, say. Forms of standard measurement lose strength. Scientific notation is tricky. Stick to length of a house cat. Maybe 15 to 20th size of me. Earth size proton 10 to 51. Closer 3.6 times 10 followed by 51 zeros larger. That. Hope not to meet one in a dark alley. It'd swallow me up. Be no fun. Make a black hole. Nature takes 1.4 times a mass of the sun. You wish to create something of that magnitude. Impossible in my yard. Start with an immense gravitational influence and lots of heat for one. Those conditions too extreme. Coming up with one here's too hard.
From perspective, the setting is a still night. Sultry darkness beckons. Thoughts are in transient meditation. Of life and awareness it calls. Set to a macabre lack of joy. Emotionless bodies well away the seconds. Into beasts inhabiting his spirit. A man or what flies and crawls. Slow flowing stream of ink on paper. Fading not fast as the memory. Leaving impressions behind others may follow. Down corridors of time. Keeping rhythm to one's own respiration. Tracking a heartbeat's telemetry. Matching letters and picking symbols. Enhancing effects like a chime. In a well we are turning to face harsh reality. Wishing it all behind us. Setting course to things that are better. A brighter future awaits you. Unfueled by harsh lessons. How we learn. Move, meaningfully adjust. Put aside your negativity. Knowing futility is now a lesson too. Get with arrangement. View life from another perspective if possible. Our own standpoints become so ingrained or prejudiced as to fail. Often they do and are kept only to see us through. Pitfalls are crossable. It makes circumstances easier. Where they fell in the past see detail. The wishing well. A deep vortex into which we may cast our thoughts. Anything else you may not like or have need for. A bottomless trash can. So get it out of the living room. Tired of walking around or stepping across? Where it started is unknown. No one now cares. Develop a plan.
To life like us, liquid water is crucial. It's 70% of our body. The same proportion covers our planet's surface. A medium we evolved in. Of all compounds in the universe, it's the most important kind of copy. The molecule consisting of an oxygen bonded with hydrogen then leptons into orbitals on a nucleus of 8 protons and neutrons, 2 electrons in one, 6 in another, and each hydrogen sharing one, bonded covalently to oxygen, giving 8 electrons sharing hydrogen it was, totaling 10 protons, 8 neutrons and 8 electrons as a sum. As we recognize it, conscious beings evolving in other ways a mystery. The water molecule, you won't go long without it. Beings from Earth, something we all shared as life forms inhabiting an ocean over history. A chain binding us to our home planet. Dependence on water from birth. Tectonics and thermal vents play creating conditions of which we care. The secret is in shared orbitals. Balancing a simple chemical formula. About as basic as it can get. Locked in water and released into air. Biological interaction the key to creating our atmosphere's formulas. Weak nuclear forces binding the molecules. Strong one keeping nuclei. It seems like electromagnetism. Electrons in those shared configurations. Not quite the same thing. Force-carrying particles differ is why. Free-flowing electrons differ from those in nodes that are mentioned.
On the beach we take much for granted. A summer day and all is bliss. Stroll along the boardwalk, walk on the pier, then swim in the ocean. Work on some art, write a song, invite your friends or people you miss. Seems quiet today. Take it easy. Simply rest wherever you've an ocean. Live your life a day at a time. No one sees the future exactly correct. Tomorrow will happen. Not precisely as you'd planned it, however. The bus is on time. The train is late. Flat tires that one might neglect. Toward what end is your endeavor? Work toward a better world forever. Envy the idle rich. Their burden stagnation and maintaining position. When societal structures supporting them fail, they are left to scramble. Those supporting a ladder where they stand tire of the situation. Then it topples with no one holding it up. Hierarchy becomes a shamble. Stand on top or hold up the pyramid. It takes a lot of support beneath. Don't be neglectful of those at the bottom of your pinnacle to success. Without them you'll fall. I only hope it isn't fatal. The wisdom bequeath. Knowledge that brought you to any allotted circumstances express. Insight to destiny. Feel we know path inevitably ending in oblivion. That all biological forms have in common. Immortality of the living spirit. A human soul so unique. A thing more than only different for one. Given in creation to each. Originated before by our Maker to give it.
Despair over having not been recognized. Excitement is in design. Satisfaction of toil on building's completion. Thrill at seeing it work. Carried out, added to a diversified body of knowledge it may assign. Freeing on insanity. Different yet brilliant in the intellect it lurks. Hiding disfigurement is clear rationality. Easy to read why it's hidden. Interpreted literally, people tend to take advantage of the obvious. Though not all of us. Some prefer it not to only become forbidden. To watch, then it becomes all the more enticing to even the snobbiest. Revolution in understanding. An ending you might think. Or so it seems. Nothing really is. Stay away from absolute. Choose calling it constant. In our own realities at any rate. A universe in which we dwell it means. With that undetectable to us. What we know becomes inconsistent. Life can become unceasingly dismal. Stand out in wind and rain. Never adjust to discomfort. It becomes increasingly irritating. Intentionally it feels good when it stops. The sun comes out. You forget pain. Try it for a while. You realize comfort in elements you are eliminating. Go back, fix what doesn't seem to be working. Think it to be that way, when in fact nothing is broken. It was made to mimic motion is all. Abstraction to pull us from everyday goings on. A prop on which to play. Parts of machinery that don't want to stop. Device one can't recall.
The fun of travel, sightseeing unbounded by borders. Places to visit. On the surface of our planet. All want to go there. To some we have been. And everywhere you go in retrospect, looking back we miss it. Changing the world slightly through association with those we meet again. Misleading guys, super small atoms, protons, neutrons, and compounds. As concept, yes, a tightly packed configuration in the nucleus, you guess. Electrons don't actually circle a center like a solar system sounds. They fan out in energetic nodes, more like nodules about the nucleus. Electron nodules are the three-dimensional areas around the nucleus, depending on numbers of electrons. Atoms are of that shape it rides. They are also known as atomic orbitals. The different shapes discuss. Nodes hold two electrons. Those are where a particular electron resides. The precise definition of an orbital is a mathematical function. It describes location of an electron in an atom based on probability. Nodes then refer to regions of space where an electron might be in junction. Present based on a dependent variable for an orbital that is likely. Any precise location at a given time for electrons. It is not exactly clear. Anything leaving confine of the atom is radiation, one to declare. Negatively charged energy cloud. Bound weak nuclear force here. Referring to wave-particle duality. Only a probability of its being there.
If it may be conceived, then it most certainly exists. We are its guest. Each day begins a new story. Honor your Creator in all its vast glory. Conscience too big to imagine, not while infinite, time to timeless. Maker of now and new dimensions. All encompassing, not to worry. Not by science, perhaps faith. Imagination or fantasy that is suitable. Raised from the dead or returning in time are thus represented. That which is not of our realm to observe may exist, but is not provable, and is belief in a scientific format. That too is faith in a method. Don't turn your back on either. History supports archaeological evidence. Everything hinges on a faith in belief, source and accuracy of the data, first hand and with your own two eyes. That evidence is prevalent. Chronological accuracy, sediment layers sequenced alpha then beta. Not when it comes to truth, which may be ugly. It cannot be purchased. When hideous, it tends to be concealed. No one would want to know. Afflicting disgrace as cannibalism or incest, sold to a nearest merchant. We prefer a divine origin over emerging from a filthy muck to grow. Do not bend to hearsay. Examine the source and its credibility by author. Affected by greed or recognition, to which one gives no precedence. Working independently without contact, until reaching conclusions for more than one, presenting the same conclusion based on like evidence.
The void is not vacant. James Webb Space Telescope takes it in. Problem is choosing detail. Looking at a body and deciding which cell. The galaxies could equate to that. You're looking for a small planet then. Good luck in that. Across the vastness of interstellar space, do tell. Size matters, we dare not interfere. With the mass of our sun it is clear. More than 1,000 Earths fit in Jupiter. 1,000,000 inside the sun. Begin to understand the fusion process. To its free energy we're near. Containing plasma is a real problem. More than solid objects run. The property of matter making up much the universe is that in stars, superheated energetic photons are released in the fusion process, given off when nuclei combine to the heavier elements. In stars like ours, you might say rocky planets are an exception. They make up much less, spotting them too difficult. Like looking for a fly in front of the searchlight you are watching from Florida. A tiny bug on the west coast. So there are galaxies like ours, planets and the sun, not too bright. What makes us sure there are planets like Earth? Is it rarer than most? Our life forms may be unique. Certainly each solar system and galaxy is. Many similar but each different. You can't say that about clones now. They are identical, having the same duplicate properties, one says. How they come together, that forms a special differentiation is how.
Wherever we go in our expanded visible universe, atoms are the same. Molecular structures vary depending on conditions bringing them together. Dark energy and matter seems an undetectable or untestable game. We witness the effect, but there's no way to see it through a detector. A big force-carrying particle that interacts weakly in a permeating field. The medium seems clear, only it's not understood except by effect. Matter dragging the galaxies about, causing interstellar space to yield unseen yet affecting the universe. They're but impossible to detect. Energy forcing expansion. Again undetectable except by its effect. Defined as heat or radiation. It is neither. Observed as widening. Like inflating a big balloon. What is causing it, or proof may we collect? Seems blown apart, accelerating out at the present. It is frightening. Seldom collisions produce new objects to be found as those obstacles. Something new on detectors shows up in the unidentified tangents. In proton collisions, quarks or gluons interact to form low-energy particles. Rarely, heavier effects are produced as energetic anti-fragments. Why we envision protons and neutrons as spherical seems misleading. Like nodes in electron orbits, roundness isn't quite correct as their shape. Triangular, it seems, would more closely describe the quark coupling. At such a high frequency, however, that inference tends to escape.
Photons are transverse waves of energy, a result of particle vibration. The difference in wave energy creates new waves, or a photon thus. The equation to calculate photon energy uses the energy wave equation. Longitudinal difference between points measure distance from nucleus, between which are the visible light spectrums that our own eyes see. Massless particles traveling at the speed of light. How it behaves. It's a vibrating string thing. Velocity equals wavelength times frequency. Photons come in varieties of energies, from gamma to radio waves, moving about nuclei and nodes to those of different potential situation, transferring gain or loss of energy, shifting to a high or lower shell, same as light. So radio waves result in the electron's vibration. Rays are a form of radiation, some destructive, others not. That is well. Low frequency below that of visible light. Radio waves pass undetected, unnoticed without antenna. Emission like light at low wavelengths. They cover entire universe. Are used in astronomy as selected. Same no mass particle. Traveling the speed of light at different strengths. Maybe energy without mass, less converted into such, the assumption. Dawning on us. There must be force carrying particles acting on it. Unhindered, this goes on forever. In the electromagnetic field's resumption. Confined to a universal limit. Equations and mathematical law fit.
Photons are the carriers of electromagnetic force and radiation. Small energies drawn along field lines. The disturbance causing waves. Like a rocketing the surface of a pond propagating generation. Released force from the atom's electrons jumping levels. How a photon behaves. By our own assumptions then. These fields we propose seem definable. Gravitational, electromagnetic and the weak nuclear surrounding nuclei. Nuclear strong, less expanse to exerts its compacted force undeniable. The strong force, almost another dimension. The one within nude by. Nuclear strong, binding quarks and nuclei. Seems a compacted field too. Photons work through all of them. Potentially contained in the nucleons, released and fission as radiation, subjected to effects of all, not a few. For, at any rate, known forces of nature all harbor photons. This quantum of energy seems basic. Various wavelengths depend energy. Cosmic rays are a good examples of stored photonic energy in nuclei. Understanding massless energy is key to unifying the forces we see. Energy into mass and mass into energy. Unifying forces are photons. Try. Postulated and proven in the strong force it is contained, not free. Given a try. What's the exception other than their potential? Until acted on. Then they are released as a form of the other three. Quantum of energy becoming matter makes electrons and positrons their initial.
We are human and do not know everything. What is the tussle? Discovery is both enlightening and frightening. In that new questions arise, with each problem answered, more presented. In solving one puzzle, it appears merely a piece to a larger one. Maybe it is not explainable, guys. It's undeniable the spark of creation in nebulas is an ongoing thing. New stars and solar systems constantly forming. Is life much different? Yet it's only an assumption. Maybe it's unreachable for us to bring. Imaging seems unlikely. An atmosphere like ours would be magnificent. Only to say a biosphere would be more likely to become seen, compared to things inhabiting it, through voids of interstellar space, light years away, or thousands of times the distance, if that's being. We can only whimper on perceiving how small we are. Near nothing you'd state. Getting here to there in a single lifetime at sublight speeds unlikely. In 1,000 years, to bring anything living that distance, time wins. Death too is an inherent property of life. Why generations work nicely. Talk to Martians lately. Not likely, so stop before you begin. Water would have to remain in liquid state for 1 billion years for multicellular life to begin. Possibly a microbe isn't far-fetched. Within our solar system, given heat, light, and liquids as it nears, with right ingredients and enough time, it shouldn't be impossible to detect.
Back to generally friendly photons and bending light around. Electrons or electromagnetic force. Lightning, direct and alternating current. Though not part of the nuclear strong force, they are bound in nuclei and released in radioactive decay. Nucleons form radiation emergence. A proton can capture an electron to become a neutron in an atom. Nuclear strong, weak and electromagnetism, free neutrons decay in minutes. They emit a neutrino and electron as radiation. Evidenced cases, some. The weak force gravity has no effect on the other three, as instance. Space-time affected by gravitational fields. Hence anything in it is too. It would include an electromagnetic plane, so very slightly it's bent. Frame dragging caused by gravity pulls slightly on what it goes through. The photon field through which electricity passes is so lent. Plasma, charged particles, mostly electrons following solid, liquid and gas. Fourth state of matter. Interacting in atmosphere drawn by magnetism. Emitted by the sun, view northern lights or aurora borealis as they pass. Dancing down as visible light spectrums in highlighted animism. That electronics engineering has little to do with either, so mentions. Problems being in each area. Gravity doesn't apply to the nuclear's path. Newton, Maxwell, Faraday and Niels Bohr, a few who did equations. No new reverie in combining all the four forces of physics with math.
Subdued lines waiting to mimic an artistic accomplishment in verse. What did she say? Who is it really? Might only make one guess. Well, that is not backward. It is meant to take your true awareness in reverse. Just an admirer. That could be anyone you chose it to be, nevertheless. Your double vision again. Take another look. They are the same person. Coming by this result of trauma or stress. Only expressions express. Family member will tell you the same thing. Never heard that version. Mildly stated, it is a story of split personality you'd never confess. Address Hollywood in a way that's heartless and uncharitable. Truly a game of vanity fueled by aspiration. To get there, a disguise. To live there, be all-knowing and wise. It could only be a listed useless parable. To make a way into history takes what's rare, and not always wise. The beautician's business. An industry based on fashion and service. An elite at the top supported by a multitude of providers below. To get an edge on it you must show skill. Entertainment, Lord preserve us. That's a way, up, down or out. Price of fame you may not want to know. Those tears shed in regret are painful lessons. Get there to throw it away. There is a problem in achievement where you're just pretending. Ultimately, if you don't pay the price, you're not willing to stay. Something someone stole. Hope to God it does not claim your immortal soul.
When you eye something you'd like, see it's not another trap set. Some do not want to know truth, for it could become fatal to them. When it is worth your life, weigh its value. It's you or mankind we assess. You would die for them, or they may perish for you. Don't want it then. Desire is another sin set to ensnare us. Nothing's wrong, be it a need. Don't start a war over possessions. That may cost your well-being. A dispute will arise perpetually over who owns it. By what is agreed. Your life is more important. All else states of mind you are foreseeing. If it can provide a camouflage that is useful. Keeping out rivals, what for? Arising out of need and progressing onto greeted incomers. Another id or ego thing. A most basic need, survival. Superego is more. Territory seems basic even to animals, as well as strength in numbers. Justify an ambition then. Where lust originates, one or everyone guess. It isn't consciously controllable. It is reflex. Others are in reach. It is a center of awareness. Says do whatever required, regardless. Ego dictates life's worth continuing. Superego a personality in each. Evolution facts recently come to light. Witness a fossil record atop. Seen in mammals inhabiting an ocean. Breathing air how deep they dive. If you hold your breath, you're controlling the ego. It will force it to stop. It won't let you die. It will make you breath anyway to survive.
We're the product of lengthy evolution of other big stars' descendants. Through processes of recombinant deoxyribonucleic acid, we undergo elements in your bodies, formed from a nebula of supernova remnants, accumulations of interstellar dust, assembled in a complex way though. The hit and miss process of transitioning molecular structures formed. Creation isn't understandable without cause and effects working. To simply transplant something is a solution. It isn't creation, be warned. Time is an effect. Only after incredibly long periods we're learning. Some things are not retrievable. They can't be replicated or displayed. We have written laws concerning physics. It is natural, not a crime. All that's understandable to us humans must be in a format we're made, within our own dimension, and in a coordinates with our space-time. Concerning things infinite, it's probable duplicates exist of everything. If the universe is as such, we would have counterparts, like protons, small charged particles. Human beings have a vastly larger meaning. Planets in the observable cosmos. Antiparts themselves are photons. That is to say, photons do not have an antiparticle. They are their own. Protons may have negative charges, as is the case with antiprotons. An entire universe of antimatter may exist. Undetectable, it can't be shown. Particles, however, do seem to appear from nowhere. A note on
Photon energy is Planck's constant times light divided by a wavelength. In atoms are destructive wave interference between protons and electrons, causing neutralizing of waves, resulting in a binding force's strength. Tethering power is an energy in the photon as a direct cause. Electrons of opposite spin contained in parameters around a nucleus. Pairs of negatively charged particles, take in contrast small and large. Planes of existence visualized geometrically. 3 values to us, required to determine a position of an element. The term dimension charged. It gives relationships between energy of the photon and its frequency. A solution to the ultraviolet catastrophe. Here classical theory panics, where accurate measurements of blackbody radiation exist unequally. Planck's constant becomes the fundamental value in quantum mechanics. Current forced through tungsten filaments in a vacuum radiates vibrating energy in a photon field. Light in our own visible spectrum, calculated by its speed times Planck's constant divided by wavelengths. Couldn't see in the dark without it. Electromagnetism, where it's from. Very small amount related to a single photon, converted into energy, times a large number pinned to light's speed where it is unrestricted, divided by the wavelength of what is becoming measured in degree. Keep it vague and don't try to understand it. Find the answers predicted.
big as electrons. Over photons order 150,000 times that. A photon in the blue light spectrum has energy of about 3 volts. Photons claim massless, travel speed of light with no rest mass. Imagine now what the weakly interacting massive particle then denotes. 133 times bigger than the neutron or protons. Mass of the stationary electron is near 500,000 electron volts. Neutrons 900 times same. 1900 times electrons. Higgs 125 billion volts. The energy scale at joules. Photons have no weight or mass, particles do. And 0 isn't a 1. Compare 3 to 500,000, 100 million and 100 billion. Relative, say, to the mass of a photon, electron, proton and a big boson. Brick, train, fleet of ships, thousands of pyramids it would run. To get the sense of size, line up 20,000 Great Pyramids. That is your WIMP, a weakly interacting massive particle. Take a break. The first, a photon measured the size of your foot. My theorem is, you have it, and you may be in for a long walk to the end with that trick. Bumps into relativity. The universal speed limit of unrestricted light. Bring your map and compass. Look up at the stars. Remember that any effort then would become a cross country. Use your brain, don't hike. Distance and energy scales could become analogous to traveling that.
Encountering force, not all have mass. The radio waves for starts. They are affected by it. Light bent by lensing in some situations. Higgs is the fundamental particle that gives mass to electrons and quarks. That determines how much particles resist changing speed or position. Photons, quanta of energy in a field, carry a force the Higgs subjects. Instantaneous isn't impossible. Superposition entanglement does fit. Lensing is more the effect of warped space-time around heavy objects. The sun, for example, does bend light, or the continuum around it. Instant transmission of information would not rely on particle transfer. It negates the need for fields in the same way photons are massless. Being above, below, outside or independent of it, that would then infer. A massless particle is contradictive, inferring energy as substance. Spins reverse, one dependent on the other. In orbitals they are on. Off base it just comes to mind. Impossible without a nucleus present. Like electrons of opposite spin sharing stretched out levels in an atom. Unconfined by nuclei. Pulled to long distance where each is dependent. Proven as fact. Non-local interaction of objects separated in space. State of the other when the particles are separated by a large distance. The imbalance that classical and quantum physics independently face. Spin of entangled particles seen at separate locations, for instance.
Here a spontaneous photon parametric down conversion is used, creating pairs of entangled photons with varied spatial relations. Your eyes detect photons at the right wavelength. This becomes proved. So you are a detector. It's true. Fortunately, there are many other correlations. Collapse of wave function doesn't apply. It is a massless particle. So descriptively, an energy wave acted on by a force carrier. It's a wave. It has a function. Collapse is when you remove the field obstacle. We can't do that. The difference in detection or observational barrier. Because observation causes a collapse in the field for bigger particles. With those objects having a detectable mass, like the nucleus, a photon, of course, does not. Field through which both act, same particles. The forces describing them is the same. They are weak nuclear ones. Differences in electromagnetic and nuclear weak forces are separate. There may be an argument for the photon being a particle. It is said, having no rest mass means that it does not slow, stop or decelerate. Cause it is both. Also described as either. Experiments to it have led. Photons move at the speed of light because they've no inherent mass. Being that it is so, they can never actually be completely stopped. If a photon were not moving, it would have no basis even to exist, alas. All a photon is depends on movement in a field. Unless that's dropped.
Science is eye in the sky. In orbit a million miles in space at play. Messier 64, spiral galaxy 17 million light-years distant. Not hope of reaching it but by observation. Active star formation display. Quickly the universe produces solar systems in ways persistent. Around a dozen trillion galaxies or so. Some larger and smaller. In the visible universe. That's difficult to conceive. For all it's worth. Smaller than our Milky Way, containing 200 billion stars in color. That is in our local one. A medium-sized galaxy harboring Earth. Nearest large galaxy Andromeda 2.5 million light-years nears. Most distant thing to be seen with the naked eye in the night sky. Moving 100 kilometers per second toward us. Meets in a few billion years. The sun may not last that long. No worry, inevitables why. Vortex motion in counter rotation. A light liquid on top of a denser one. Imagine it matter than counterpart. As how the bottom may act. It's not, but you get the drift. Air on top hasn't hit the subsurface scum. Were it flammable, they'd ignite, annihilating should they contact. Matter encroaching on a space-time continuum, dragging it in rotation. An example of bending the Higgs field, which experiments can yield. Photoelectrons are not affected by gravity. Just a field is the notion. So while you witness this effect, the domain they are in is concealed.
16 million light years distance to this. Looks like a crocodile's eye. Only it's out in space and about 50,000 light years in diameter. That's one big reptile. Actually smaller than the Milky Way may imply. Ours is around 3 times that across, one more than other. Appearing against a background galaxy. Like us and Andromeda in a way. Eventually we'll pass through each other. Form a larger one and adjust. Pair of overlapping galaxies, 120 million light years away. Unique alignment in constellation Hydra. Astronomers measure dust. Would that we could cut through an interstellar medium in a wormhole. Build a tunnel, one'd think. Through water, yes. In outer space, doubt it. Force the space-time to bend around you. Your warped mind in control. Science fiction for now. Nothing that moves solid objects admit. Energetic jets beaming out both sides. A lighthouse effect it enforces. They not only spin but move laterally through galaxies where they mix. Quasars are luminous live galactic nuclei. Quasi-stellar radio sources. Fueled by supermassive black holes surrounded by accretion disks. Limitless, that which could be done to improve it. Where to begin? Difficult to make it alone. Life grinds on you, don't take the suggestion. So much out there, it is simply befuddling. Look at our society then. Becoming a crowded place. The relative to what is the question?
Time-dependent relativity. A new framework for cosmological sentiment. Gravity in a way it wasn't perceived centuries earlier. As time interactive. A refined version of universal laws. Seen consistent in experiment. Deeper understanding of time dilation that has become adaptive. One of 10 million superclusters in an observable universe we see. Distance is indifferent. Part the speed of light your entire life a thought. Few light years to the nearest star or millions the closest galaxy. We are Virgo supercluster. The group 100 megalight years across. We are and will remain in observational mode only. To that not near. Farthest spacecraft Voyager is 14 billion miles out in spite. Electromagnetic radiation travels 6 trillion miles in a Earth year. There is no need to put it in perspective. Simply say, not in your life. Classical theory says electron spin is a property of quantum particles, and that the spin direction influences an atom's magnetic properties. An electron spin refers to a form of angular momentum of electrons. The spin number provides information about an electron's unique state. Entanglement occurs when these groups of particles are acted on. They interact to share spatial proximity in the quantum state each visits. Predicted entanglement is a truly quantum mechanical phenomenon. It allows particles to have closer relationship than in classical physics.
Alone is alright, but never loneliness. None of your kind to choose. Continually with one partner. Guessing the only fraction is 1/2. Mostly we never do cause no one is perfect. Absolutely one right for you. Then again you might not even want to. Solitary sentiments we have. Complexity the exception and not the rule. Attesting our uniqueness. Something of similar scalability is never impossible, only unlikely. Identical may apply to our constituents but not entirety. One of a kind. Each of us are in our complexity. So meeting your match that may be. Visualization helps understanding the effects of experimentation. Conveying results are difficult when undefined in black and white. Logic and interpretation restricted by our intuition and imagination. Answers not yes or no require explanation as to where in the middle is right. A probability of correctness then results. Chances of an absolute. Nothing is but only approaches that. Ending in percentages or close. Taken for granted then. Response always one or the other, no dispute. Prediction as used in crossing the street. To get there, we must diagnose. We can only guess that things will follow predictable patterns. Not always true. They usually do. Something arising from nothing defies logic. As witnessed, it happens. Wouldn't be here if that matters. Perhaps it is all for entertainment to our maker. Possibly so, it is ironic.
You die of old age getting started. To the nearest star, for instance. Our fastest spacecraft taking tens of thousands of years, you hear. Star formation shown abundantly. Though separated by vast distance. Several times a trillion miles. Or the distance light travels in a year. Light travel in one takes 18,000 years to that nears. Our civilization period would get quarter way to a nearest star. Fact. Time humans began agriculture until today is 12,000 years. Most distant probe from Earth will cover less than a light year in that. Swimming across an ocean is possible for a whale. People may forget. Evolution of 80,000 years. In a lifetime if you'd stop to rest. Alpha Centauri robot returns messages to an eclipse trace regret. We will burn out long before that. Ruin our planet's biosphere at best. Disputes in knowledge, resources or territory never end. Who own it? Everything people say is private property or invention they claimed. A matter of the consensus. Ability to defend it, property they'd permit. Scientific discoveries and in medicine. Who's given credit or blamed? Light received is sent that long ago. Distance measured by time atune. Interstellar distance such it's impossible at any sublight speed and it is doubtful people will arrive at an Earth-like planet anytime soon. Keep in mind thousands of light years is what happened back then.
Inert is massive objects at rest. Time frames the acceleration mention. Beginning, the differences in speed of progression that they test. Inertia, property by which items continue their constant momentum. Inertial versus differential energy gained. Motion of object not at rest. Time travel in effect. One item's relative aging, it is supposed to yield. Acceleration, requiring power to increase its momentum and mass. Unrestricted constant, the speed of light. Confined by a photon field. Force carrying particle, a boson, is no longer presupposed, at last. We wish things were instant, they're not. The same concept as infinite. What slows it down anywhere is the medium through which it travels. Air, water or what appears to be empty space. Undetectable to us is it? Well, it may be. That's dark matter and energy. The mystery unravels. To all of us. It helps to know a limit. Don't make goals unachievable. Action at a distance is not clairvoyance. Entanglement is the definition. Two of the same particles or articles is what becomes conceivable. At least, they are describable. Science sticks to fact, not fiction. Believe in miracles. And that all explainable is not within our reach. Within science or religion. Set tests of time, they're mankind's headed. And following the golden rule. Then practice that which you preach. Pursue knowledge that's truly provable. Understand faith in a method.
So the ejected particle is an electron, not the incident light or photons. Light in example is high frequency causing jumps in electron orbitals. Only confusing to by giving them the same name photoelectrons. Photoelectric effect involves particle mass. Electric current totals. Metals contain heavy nuclei with large numbers of electron obstacles. Photonic light waves excite electrons into their higher orbital energy. Enough stimulation until ejected angularly from the atoms as particles. Emitted from polished surfaces having charges and momentum we see. Unique may be what life is. What supports all biological life forms first. Holographic simulation is close. Defined in programmed suggestions. Peering into the unfathomably large bubble called our visible universe. Space-based astronomy is ready to get started answering questions. Any search for life should center within traveling distance from base. Millions of light years to another galaxy is not any travelable distance. Hundreds may be. Physically transporting a human an arguable case. Relativity and quantum physics present the question with persistence. Intervention by whom or what is why that suggests miracles are real. The antibiotics that were not around 100 years ago are also one. Fixed speed of light or Son of God are arguments unworkable in repeal. Redeeming mankind enters science in a big way as how it can be done.
Heavens out there. We are exploring their limits. Pixel down instance. Count up to guess size or age. How small or large can be described. There's a scale developed in physics. Planck size and time constants. Well founded then. As scientific symbols in the abbreviations ascribed. Its reason for alarm. Look objectively at evidence that's wavering. Distinguishing fact and fiction. Remaining memory is what we recall. Shock or fear of an unknown. Played in Hollywood to public catering. Long as it has a market, sells tickets or popcorn. People fall for it all. Science, mathematics, think who invented it. We did, of course. Vanity. Money too, because counting is not always the realm of God we trust. Don't be taken. Most of us were, to a greater or lesser degree, fantasy. Same old science fiction films. Creatures and space people like us. Limit beyond which theories do not go. Below levels fact has strength. Assigning position to precision smaller than Planck length in reality. Radius of black holes with energy equaling a photon of that wavelength. Unviable to the laws of quantum mechanics or behaviors of gravity. As difficult to deal with. Time for light to cross the shortest distance. 10 to minus 35 meters, 180,000 miles a second. Any smallest amount of time that is measurable by description, hence 1 second in 100 million years. Atomic clocks like ours.
We never come to grips with reality. Our lives spent as Looney Tunes. Envision what may be. Always settling on idle threats and intimidation. In most, just don't take it all seriously. You're dealing with buffoons. Concentrate, stay focused. Center on fact, not emotional indication. We're sweating it out. Our sun becomes a red giant engulfing Earth. What happens? Do we have a fighting chance? In one lifetime, not likely. Doesn't hurt to keep up your guard for another billion years worth. That time aliens will take over the place. Chances of it only slightly. But time heals wounds. So it ain't going to happen now. Or anytime soon. Get over it. Find places to go. We all must sometime, so futures blacken. Why didn't I see it coming when everyone else did? No one's immune. It'd make us angry if we had to stick around to watch it happen. Tell people Big Myth is in town. You've got to roar for them to hear. That's giving yourself away. Lend thought and decide what to say. Try to explain it. Listen, or else. You want to lead, not bring up the rear. Putting down or holding out. Phrased how we see it and no other way. Everyone seems to have a death wish. It comes with how long we wait. Survival, then it's me or them. Trains of thought cover any region. Stop to smell the roses. Don't forget to ask. Have good sense of taste. Is it worth ruining your health bodily or mentally, and for what reason?
Andromeda's distance, say 20 times our Milky Way's diameter. Surprisingly not far relative to Earth's host galaxy. Wide, not thick. 1,000 light years deep. Like a dinner plate to we amateurs. Moving at us 70 miles a second. 2,500th fast as light can hit. Plays a key role in understanding. Long enough to quell our fears. Guessing positions of celestial bodies. Things in motion with them. Math is good. It builds mental discipline. We collide in 5 billion years. Keeping us in tune to local surroundings. Works of the solar system. When an entire weight of the universe depends on it, that rides a single zero out of place. The whole thing collapses. It wasn't our maker's design. That is facing a crisis when the numbers do not balance two sides. Equations must represent equal values on both halves of a sign. No rhyme or reason. Simply isn't in the numbers. Assigned to datasets. Why would it have, or would anybody want to? Digits count your hand. Common to mammals, the radius, ulna and metacarpal bone silhouettes. 5 on each hand, the lower bones in your finger. Most animals on land. Our number base of preference seems to be 10. Based on the fingers. Carpal, metacarpal, proximal, intermediate and distal phalanges counted. Written 1 to a fifth in metabones. 1 then step and a half to singers. Rhythm and music remind us. The octave of carpals we amounted.
Inflation of the early universe, They are trying to explain its effect. An entire species could become decimated. It's in too high-pitched barks. Stop chewing gum and think about it. People are more suspect. Subject of extinction at least. They got phalanges too as parts. 8 bones in wrists below metacarpals. Above the radius and ulna. Use it or lose it, a key in evolution. Hind legs in whales an example. The simplification or exaggeration of features to brightness or dullness. Of equal importance the selection of mates in breeding the sample. Imagine our Milky Way as a 4 3/4 inch compact disk. Andromeda as a spiral galaxy of similar size. Hold them 8 feet apart. The gaps closing between the two. Extremely slowly, not much risk. Practically 4 billion years until they touch. Earth could restart. Hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy. 1/5 are like the Sun. Out of reach. Likelihood of another planet like this. Not too bad. Taken that long for our rock to form. From dead stars to another one. Never or forever don't exist. For practical purpose they do, you'd add. With sufficient mass a big star explodes because its core has no room. Enough heat and pressure until the nuclei fuse into heavier elements. Vibrating energy, atoms bumping into each other, sizzle, bang, boom. Elements become interstellar clouds. New stars are their developments.
Pressure drops in massive stars. Gravity takes over, bidding farewell. Producing a supernova explosion. Nucleosynthesis creates new nuclei. Shock waves are produced, inducing fusion reactions in the outer shell. Material is ejected outward, forming nebulas. And new stars as they die. The same luminosity supernova are useful probes of the seen universe. Measuring apparent brightness, one also estimates an expansion rate. Acceleration, the rate's variation with time. And determined in reverse. What's red shifted moving away? Or blue shifted coming toward dictate? They appear blue. An example of a blue star is the familiar Rigel we adore. Brightest star in constellation Orion. 6th brightest star in a sky so pretty. Blue stars have at least 3 times mass of our sun or more. Weather stars are 10 times mass of the sun or 150. Flash Gordon, at hand to lead a mission onto the other planet first. Villains have just put her on a collision course with us though. Disaster's imminent when it's discovered planet Mongo crashing to Earth. With his girlfriend, Dale, they learn of Ming, the devious ruler of Mongo. Some of the terrifying monsters from Hollywood released on the world. Would have guessed acting does that to us. Parts we play. Our alter ego. There are more lurking out there. Scared to make your hair curled. Go hide where they won't think of looking. Where they are, we don't go.
Nebula are dust, basic elements, hydrogen and ionized gaseous waste, generally byproducts of cast-out stellar remnants. As a new formation, a nebula is a huge cloud of dust and gas between stars occupying space, creating new stars, meaning mist, vapor, fog, smoke, or exhalation. Abominably weird stuff afflicting daily lives. Skeletons in your closet. Been there for a good long time. On the roof and in the forest. Can't get away, they are in the basement. In your own mind you cause it. Jumping at you from dark corners. Where an enlightenment is the sorest. Camping on the event horizon of a black hole. It'd be a precarious stay. Time slows indefinitely to an observer. You'd get old watching, beware. It's 26,000 light years to center of the Milky Way. What we view's a nice place to visit. You wouldn't want to live there. Sitting on the edge of Sagittarius may be an uncomfortably hot place. 18 million degrees Fahrenheit. If you could withstand it there. Sinking to just above absolute zero inside the event horizon face. Come equipped and be prepared. Bring an appropriate space suit to wear. Things beyond scope of our understanding seem also to be miracles. Some matters are because there are simply no ways of investigating them. So trust in your maker. Forces creating us may not be described as literal, explainable, that is, in any way we might understand their end.
More than reality. Of course it's real. Straight out of a science journal. Right at the checkout counter next to the royal couple's divorce, tabloids got hold of it and had a holiday. Not even neutrons are eternal. Marines are the people that made up the junk. And they are out in force. Gadgets, what a planet. It might be how far to another one. Habitable, similar to Earth. Probably inhabited too. Not in your life. Taken too long for the light to get here. May not still be there, a reason. Needless to investigate though, because you will never reach it despite. We just don't get along. Knowing it to begin with. That's what they all say. Well, you'll get over it. Your partner turned out to be a monstrous disgrace. Your last marriage, no doubt. How hideous it had to end this way. It turns out, there was no reason trying in the first place. Detectable but for dark void. Where matter is susceptible to disintegration. Forming heavy clusters and strands. Like nerve systems would be making. Consuming one another, then burping out hot gases and radiation. The galaxies seem alive. They move through their medium pulsating. Taking far longer than any human lifetime to receive their reply. Assuming there were means and reason to do so. That is why. Life is a rarity. Or systems supporting it. Distances just too immense to deny. Isolated and solitary, it seems. Best bets for communication in a dream.
Tomorrow's around the corner, so go on living. Be prepared for adjustment. Earth will still be here, sun, moon, and stars. Us too, but not for very long. Adaptation required to fill a new niche depends on your judgment. What's on your mind today? Don't fool around, yesterday's gone. Step back a bit to muster your courage. Anxieties become full grown. Feel intrinsic adrenaline start to rise. Attention is its momentary demand. Disturbing at best. Monster genre describing our fear of the unknown. It seems macabre and perplexing. That which we do not understand. Taken with no warning whatsoever. Pulled into an abyss and vandalized. We make things real which are only suspicion in our frightened mind. Increasing your full level of paranoia. A sense of becoming victimized. Singled out for your own unique peculiarity and grabbed from behind. The placating black lagoon beneath our calm emotions rising to stump. First your family drags you there. The feeling of dread they bequeath. That which deceived our trusting adolescence. Something from a swamp. Creeping menacingly at us below the surface. Striking from beneath. It is more of a joke. You are accustomed. So that it becomes enjoyable. Toward any understanding of why it was created, we became enlightened. You learn to love it. Becoming a part of life menacingly unavoidable. With warning of what to expect, you are less surprised or frightened.
You're tempted each day of your life. No one's content with mediocrity. Relative to individuals sharing our planet, don't think you are special. Continuously divergent describes each of us better. We are in a way. Based both on different perspective. Alone, firmly your own vessel. Fits a lot of us. Accepted as ways of life. What it takes to make us smile. Face this as an inevitable fact. With our own lives we are always stuck. Post-mortem exam revealed the result of their stressed out lifestyle. Autopsy seems somewhat similar. They were drugged and drunk. Bigger design seems based on energy. Lifetimes are merely a flicker. Each individual is suspect to what particular circumstances dictate. Those participants, willing or not, are put into a bigger overall picture. Well, in it they are not necessarily the one subject of its debate. Protector of innocence, that equally cunning as power subverting it. Everything is given its purpose, howbeit some seem to have none. They do exist. In each instance of occurrence's purpose, it wouldn't fit. Much is destiny, already decided. Fate determined before life's begun. Taken to extreme, birth of our universe. Where it came from. How it began. Every body of knowledge seems to have explanation or presumption. As how it arose. Something from nothing. The beginning of time ran. Matter and its empty particles may define it. Contacting the assumption.
seemingly interconnected, limited by the speed of light and electricity. Seems like a nervous system. Account time lengths and impulse takes. Head to toe in a human body. An end of the universe to another quickly. Going to be a long time any signal from galaxy cluster to next makes. Psychosis produced by a crawling irrationality. Creating mass hysteria. The eye monsters caught on camera. Be sure to bring a bright light. They are crawling around out in the woods in different areas. Occupying our lover's lane. Preying on America's innocent teenagers at night. There's much to be learned from it. You'd stop doing homework for that. Most of the time we never got started. You'd have to kick the bucket. Thank goodness he's gone to rest now. The Crypt Keeper is back. Offering cynical morals to floppy pictures. Fear not, he's only a puppet. Disturbing, makes us angry getting to sleep after devouring a feast. So bad you'd almost depend on it. Ready to snooze. Just do not begin. Tired now and going back to sleep. Then you're awakened by some beast. Every time we start to relax. Aroused from our dream state once again. Quite time to wake up again. Can't a fellow get some rest? It's only your wife. She is often at it. You are stuck and too lazy to work. It's worse than a job. You never liked it in the first place. So make the best. Maybe it will go away. Fear a nightmare that drives you berserk.
Some things seem indefinite. Number of carbon atoms or total nucleons. Time as well, how we see it as only a one-way progression getting old. Documenting the universe with its complexities. In ways we are one. Sense individuality in each of us. A strength in numbers we all hold. Steering heredity toward what's felt to be success in a total surrounding. Intellects don't always win over numbers. Is it required or extra baggage? When it's used toward self-preservation or breeding, good thinking. Smartest don't get farthest or strongest last longest, an adage. Take it up with a shark or crocodile. Species honed by evolution over ages. Bacteria don't care, nor viruses or parasites. Each their own design. Multiplying and survival are key instincts to accumulated knowledges. Hereditary is more advantageous than accumulated traits or signs. Moreover, it's unseen. Viruses as aggressors and cells their prey. Overall, biological means are aggressive as any war getting an edge. Nature or environment are controls. More than population or individual. All required a crack in the armor for attackers to drive in a wedge. This planet is and will be a never-ending fight over territory seen. That's always been. Resources of any region. Look at our past. Silent, less alarming than explosives. All get sick then die without vaccine. Never an end to finding a cure. Contained environments do not last.
Afterlife may just not be. Between you and me, that could be very soon. Fiction is nice. For something more entertaining. If you like to pretend. Another day more sultry gloom. Stare at walls and go hide in a room. Becoming nothing in the end. Best bet memory in form of a friend. Pretentious people are out to show you they know their way around. Intimidation is effective, but merely temporary at best. Just get over it. Accepting criticism, let it roll over you when you are being put down. Realize you are being chided, assume them to be overly conspicuous. In confrontations, look where you stand to back it up. Before it's terminal. The only thing proven in dying is that you were wrong. Don't start in. Have good foresight to avoid them in the first place. Remain impersonal. Where odds are stacked impossibly against you, do not begin. Get a feeling like you are just falling apart. Good, we need a few spares. Friendly doctors will pick you up and put you back together seamlessly. Not perfect but close enough for government work. Still needs repairs. You need a big hug. Move out of the way. He was known uneasily. You have nothing to claim anyways today. Might be a lot better that way. When all people want from you is silence. Sounds like a broken record. After hearing couple of dozen times, realize there was more to say. Repetitive and boring. It just keeps going round in circles ignored.
We all serve the purpose, and there are many reasons for us being here. The complexity of any living organisms seems vast as their surrounding. Thanks, praise, respect, and fear keep us within any boundaries near. Face the plain fact we are limited by circumstances simply abounding. With advanced knowledge of any developments surrounding it a gift. Control of situations put you in charge of groups to whom you speak. Do whatever you want. Some things do not think you will get away with. Exploiting a period of known history where you may be entirely unique. Systems abound. Most visible matter are the forms of plasma version. Waiting to cool down into something solid is their determined resolve. Plenty of eras or epochs in which a form may exist that seems certain. Hundreds of millions of lifetimes in which biology may slowly evolve. A compilation of complicated molecules formed by atoms, forged in stars, condensed to create us. Heavy elements forming complex carbon base. Getting along in groups creating harmonies. Least trying added no bars. In the name of the Lord. Truly it's jamming. We are, at any rate, to our amazement or an unseen maker. Much unrevealed we can't see. No, it's what's detectable or the effects. Easy to understand this. All in act. So are we. To one's amusement. What could it ultimately be? The entirety of things possibly perceivable to us. On our level, that is.
Eventually, people are going to give up things not applicable to them. In present situations, old stories that have no bearing are useless. Reaffirming suspicions of how our recycling cognitive tendencies begin. Repetitive behavioral patterns producing results that are fruitless. What is inherent to us as a species are our reactions and traits. Autonomous respiratory and cardiological impulses in our brainstem. Cerebellum controls balance, reflex, eye movement, and speech rates. While it feels no pain itself, our brain is its own biological detector then. So it is your life. Much so, the same person, wearing that worn-out jacket, counting celebrities who wear old blue jean tops on stage and why. Contacts and would contribute to the makeup. Why would you attack it? Jealousy, of course, and always over those cloths you could not buy. Belonging for more stars that are similar to our sun. We have just one. Our clock is set by that. Each hour and second, season, day and year. Based on rotation around it. If Earth's our mother, father's time spun. Taken more literally as Mother Earth and Father Time then appear. Certainly not in anybody's lifetime. Count the days at your own pace. Remember the past. Fun, run in reverse. Focusing on way back when. You may get around it. But everything winds up back in the same place. Single point of creation where we all started. Will it start over again?
After seeing a show in its entirety, struggling to the top we climb. Inevitably we just fall down and die. Pick yourself up, ready, begin. Life seems a never-ending grind. Don't know why it takes up your time. But they are at it again. A ceaseless game you will never entirely win. Patriotic reason to halt violence. Pain or suffering come in many ways. Sickness, confinement, and disability all limit our freedom the same. Nonetheless, know right from wrong. Proclaimed in a form that pays. Evil is necessary fighting to end war. Often it is given another name. Evolutionary survival struggled to sustain life, multiplying its own kind. In living forms, it seems. Ultimate barriers are resource and territory. What you have not got, get. That surrounding you dictates to find. Aware to you are what it's out to get, anything that is predatory. Divergent paths life evolved through on Earth go back billions of years. Depending on host cells to multiply. Viruses alone aren't quite living. Of themselves, they are genetic material encased in protein spheres. Injecting their nucleic acid into any facilitating body that's giving. The silent biological war that fires not a shot. Equally deadly or worse. Knowing no government of flag. Written in statistics as cases treated. Infections benefit us too. Contributing to development not adverse. Not all viruses are deadly. As some are then beneficially repeated.
Defensive mutualism, a form of partnership different species benefit in. Crocodile bird cleans a partner's teeth. Food exchanged for grooming. Martial arts protect group interests. Castes and clans with fangs begin. Entire cultures revolve around it. When enemies are all-consuming, fossil fuel dependence, our need for energy sources never diminishes. What will science discover next seems genuinely profound to historians. Imminent are the end of some very vital resources no one replenishes. Innovation needs to be devised to replace or substitute our reasons. Life is likely a rarity, not the rule. Empty space, no one could go there. It would be sad if what is discovered was the extinction of our kind. None left to investigate. It would require intelligent life elsewhere. Doubtful anyone is within distance of radio signal you will find. Not in a single lifetime. That would be human longevity, not a microbe. Average lifespan of bacterium 12 hours or so, not 65 years. What we are talking may be big or small. Quick or slow, no one'd know. Something living thousands of years can afford to wait 1 years. As mass of objects increase due to acceleration, a time dilation occurs. You get old waiting on them to return, traveling near the speed of light. Size beginning equal. Gravitational influence aren't same as yours. Relatively one to the other. With more mass they'd age but slight.
Prokaryotes, no nucleus, capsules containing cytoplasm with flagella gear. Surviving, unchanged, impervious to most of natural selection's aspects. Simple, single-celled bacteria. Among first life forms to appear. Billions of years, proving simplicity more survivable than complex. Glycine acts as a neurotransmitter in central nervous systems, we find. Researchers noted amino acids in space rocketing Earth a trace. Amino acid, glycine, has been connected to a comet for the first time. Evidence for that compound has been detected in interstellar space. Hibernation, dormancy, and metamorphosis conditions are averse. From the near absolute zero of deep space to heated stars' interiors. Possible ingredients for life exist throughout vast regions of the universe, as we know it. That requires liquid water existing over long periods. Estimate communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in our galactic space, leading to the dependence on a habitable zone with very long stability. That would become necessary for complex forms to fall into place. Probabilistic arguments are used to estimate their suitability, separated by periods of time equally equivalent for signals to get there. The rise and fall of inhabitable planets whose populations may be many. Cultures elapse before receiving messages back from any hardware. By time we get it, they are gone. That may become a case, if any.
Quantum communication protocol to communicate a number of classical bits. Assuming the sender and receiver both pre-share an entangled resource. Information by only transmitting the larger or smaller number of qubits. Recorded in a base 2 series of only zeros and one, of course. Completely dense, what most of us are. Come to communication skill. If it could become accomplished faster than a radio signal you win. Depending how far your receiver is from the transmitter. Sitting on the moon will. To get there then back it takes 2 or 3 seconds to begin. Mars is farther by several minutes depending on its orbit of the sun. Bet they have a stock exchange there and a system of gambling. So a simple horse race takes place while your bookie is off planet having fun. Stop thinking aloud as your thoughts we are stealing. Quit rambling. Add photon to boost an energy level. Other changes spin the instant it is. So too the photon becomes entangled. Each partner, none the smarter. Such the case of entangled electrons separated by great distances. Both can't be observed again. If one changed spin, so did its partner. Answer is no. Superdense coding sends 2 bits using 1 qubit. Who figures it out sure to win a Nobel Prize. Information it may cover. But again, instant is like infinite, meaning the same time to it. Paradox added, any chance is still 50% of it being one or the other.
Plan the future for more than our lifetimes to avoid any mass cessation. Extended life or extinction. Technology and science set the milestones. Secure the resources necessary to sustain it before overpopulation. Wheedle the balance of nature with each nuclear death postpones. Delaying what's inevitable indefinitely. It becomes the goal of medicine. Enhancing the quality of life by relieving pain and suffering that goes. much attributed to force of creation taking long time in comparison. Hurry healing and promote health to which most illnesses impose. Getting to the stars is not essential. They are coming to us, first as images. With advancements in astronomy, it may not become all that necessary. What benefits us at home is a concern. Countdown, city and villages. Transporting anything physically to another star is secondary. It's an insatiable curiosity we humans have as to our place in existence. Likelihoods of anything similar to us or our home everywhere abound. Within a local group of systems to start. Know the untold distance. Breaking the laws of physics. All detectable to each one surrounds. Like prisoners, we make every effort to escape. Impossible as it may be. We want to know probabilities of attaining our dreams here on Earth. Amongst the unbelievable vastness of our huge surroundings locally. Longing for all you want does little good. Pray what your need's worth.
Entanglement as observational inference or time reversal phenomenon. An assumption states for a two-sided coin. If you see heads, others tails. Not looking, allegation, no proof. Seeing both sides dependent on. The idea of effecting change reversing what you're observing fails. In quantum states, however, monitoring affects what you are observing. That is not as simple as tossing a coin. The wave function collapses. Your observation affects one, but not that which the other is serving. Effecting instant action at distances contradicts that which passes. Hypothetically true, subatomic particles can split as connected pairs. Communication between them is still conjecture. No result produced. An interesting phenomenon. It contradicts what relativity shares. Affecting electron spin. Dividing it change their energies. One's reduced. One carries spin, another the orbital energy. Consider them opposites. Or as separate angular momentums. So if one is up, the other is down. Defined as the orbiton and spinon, a new electron couple caused by it. Different energies but always spin plus or minus one half it sounds. Mortality seems limited to its time barrier. Communication is impossible. Between systems made in any one lifetime. For human beings anyway. 2,500 years times 6 trillion miles. It's not crossable. Too many centuries would pass before civilizations fell into decay.
Confined to solid surfaces close to absolute zero, the electrons are on. The leptons, in theory, considered in bound states of three variations. Spinons are dubbed quasiparticles along with halons and an orbiton. Electrons are able to split in processes of spin-charged separations. Spinons carry the spin of the electron, orbitons their orbital location. Halons register charge. All behaving as quasiparticles, separably. They are separable states, only definitions of a similar excitation. Similarly, quarks are seen as energetic trails in detectors separately. Electrons are viewed decaying to two separate parts carrying properties. Particles can't leave substances they're produced in, it encompasses. Orbitons hold orbital moments from motion around nuclei as qualities. Spin and carrying spin, so that electrons behave like tiny compasses. All elementary pieces cannot become split into any smaller constituents, but with fractionalization, electrons become broken into charge pulses, each carrying fractions of the electron's charge that particle emits. Understanding research in a one-dimensional wire, the result is, to say it in science, you have to have faith in your source and research. Find an experiment with results showing this, that you cannot dispute. Something observable and detectable upon which our senses perch. Be this known, everything printed may as well be fiction without proof.
Charge and spin seem independent. Moving in what solid metal is, spin and charge are retained, while the orbital is lost in free electrons. This with there being partly or almost a particle moving through solids. Orbitons about nuclei, halon and spinon, then in separate columns. Unlike quarks, the actual constituents of protons and neutrons, contained about nuclei, orbitons are definitions on states of position. More so than particle, they are a property of one. Naming them orbitons. Photoelectrons have three properties yet remain elementary by definition. Electrons, separable descriptively not physically, less inside materials. Contained in a lattice, they form separate waves which are followed. Solid conductor required for it. Confined inside metal for periods. Splits into waves, not particles. As in elementary, it is not allowed. Nuclear differs from electromagnetic and gravity. This centers on atoms. Bound electrons and the nucleus differ, making the two nuclear forces. Outside the nucleus, only about 1 to THOUSA and DTH mass of protons. The electron is a charged lepton. These interact through weak force, contained in the solid. Charge and spin, with position as the medius. Free particle or energy shell about nuclei coalesce on detection. In conclusion, the electron is less an elementary particle in a medium. It is three wave functions which flow at different speeds and direction.
All the problems of mankind seem centered in three main groups too. One is an energy problem and sustainable production of electric power. Two is population growth interacting with resources we cannot renew. Three we see as maintaining the biosphere we live in to our last hour. What would take our whole civilization to accomplish in its entire history? Nature can do at once, suddenly. Still change is mostly a slow reducer. Plate tectonics take millennia or erupt suddenly. It is a mystery. We are all great at breaking things. Not many are hard producers. No one will face impending disaster until it happens to their culture. Then collapse is inevitable. Simple solutions like compost and gardens. None replace resources we consume with exception of agriculture. Oxygen, clean water, healthy diet, waste disposal are imposing problems. Longevity problem, we don't live 10,000 years. So no one worries. Were it expected, certainly we would. Legacies left to future generations. Recklessness of one dynasty are the problems of the next. Say stories. How you're remembered may be an afterlife. Start solid foundations. Successions of heirs extend to points until overthrown by populations. Who makes rules carries a burden of supporting all those it endowed. Change the rules and gifted ones become disinherited, entire nations. The land of milk and honey becomes one of cinder and ash, if allowed.
1. Transmitting the four fundamental interactions in nature as a mark. All elementary particles, or indivisible, fundamental, subatomic bit. Smallest and most basic constituents of matter, the lepton and quark. Hadrons which form combinations in some clones so that they fit. Overcoming one stating like charges repel or opposite charges attract. Equations describing the nuclear strung. It couldn't be said wrong. How basic force of nature holding protons or neutrons together react. As a unit of understanding in basic math. Listen to nature's song. Creator of heaven and earth, author of time, bringer of wisdom's worth, albeit problems of life expectancy. Our Maker may then be eternal. Where said rich man to get into heaven? Their kingdom of the earth. We relate to things in terms of genealogy, a feeling that's paternal. Biblically, we descended from the same couple. Primeval Adam and Eve. It may be a case traced in coded genetic material for 10,000 years. Brief time span in evolution of the species. Complex as you'd believe. Taken another level higher to axis of human continuance that nears. Who's left to pick up pieces? What's to become saved or held liable? Face it, for all the trash we're producing, not much is of real worth. Selectively there are gems. Most no more than part of the carbon cycle, including people, having little or no effect on the earth or universe.